Okay, so as I've previously said, I'm far too obsessed with Richard D. James's music under his various aliases. Aphex Twin, AFX, The Tuss, we all know it's him. Check with BMI, it says right there it's him. Anyway, so I've been really far too obsessed lately, or at least the last few weeks while working with my day job programming. I've been listening to a lot of Selected Ambient Works Volume 2, and I've been quite proud of myself lately for being able to listen to the whole thing all the way through without having to skip any tracks. I mean, you know, it's kind of stupid, but I've been kind of more pleased with myself for being able to do that than actually making my own music almost, which is just really silly, but there we go. Because a lot of those tracks are really quite either scary or just plain bad in a kind of, not bad in a kind of he's not talented way, but just bad in a kind of you have to really know what you're doing to make something that disagreeable on purpose, which he seems to do an awful lot of the time. Anyway, so my favourite tracks from that album are Blue Calcs, and the third track, as some fans have dubbed Rhubarb for the picture it matches up with. And I've really tried to make something that in my mind is as beautiful as Rhubarb in that kind of direction. I have no idea how well I've achieved it, but I've made two main attempts at this. The first one was on my first album, Hello Calm, it's called Scantesia Phase. And the second attempt at this was on my third album, Music from Mars, and it's Coldrum Stones. I'm not going to show you the sequence and everything, because I think it kind of takes away a bit of the fun, mystery and magic from it if you can actually see it, because it sounds so kind of otherworldly in my opinion that it's nice for your subconscious not to go, oh yeah, I remember seeing how that worked. But intellectually I think it doesn't matter, so I can still tell you how I made it as long as I don't actually show you it, is my thinking here. I'm probably just being stupid, but that's how I like to keep it. So how I made it is basically how I heard on a forum that Aphex Twin did. I don't know if it's what he actually did, but it's how he could have done it, and that's good enough for me, because I don't care about how music is actually made by other people. I care about what would be a way of doing it, and if it works that way, that's fine. You know, you don't need to do the exact same thing as everyone else. Even if you want to make a similar sound, you can find an original way of making that similar sound. So what I did was I took some orchestral samples. I can't pronounce his name, but it's Peter Sajlicek's Total Orchestra, I think, and Complete Choir or Advanced Choir. It's a range of about, I think, 6 or 7 CDs in all. There's some total piano as well, and this whole range is a very nice. It's a very nice collection of orchestral sounds. It's about as good as you're going to get without hiring your own orchestra. So yeah, they're fantastic samples, and I gather they've been used in Buffy. I heard someone say, I'm not sure if that's true, but you know, they're the kind of ones that you will get used in TV shows and maybe even films occasionally, because they're very high quality orchestral samples. And when you've got some really nice high quality samples, it's always fun to use and abuse them in ways in which they were never intended. So I took all these orchestral samples. I've got them in a box there, that's why I keep looking over there. So I've got these orchestral samples in a box over there, and I've loaded them up, not into NNXT where you can play them properly, and it forces you to play them in the right pitch, and it uses the right sample so it sounds perfect. What I would do instead is take a really high pitched one of the samples and then play it down a few octaves, so it sounds like it's a very large equivalent of that instrument. So instead of sounding like you're playing a bass, it sounds like you're playing a really large violin in a way that doesn't sound like a bass, which is natural really large violin. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you play things a lot lower than they're supposed to be played, you get this really strange otherworldly sound from them. So it sounds like I've got this weird giant orchestra. And if you just kind of, you know, take the slow, subtle, soft sounds and play them down a few octaves, you can get these really nice, ethereal, otherworldly sounds out of them. So I was using mostly woodwinds, I believe it was. And yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's just some pretty standard orchestral woodwind sounds, played a few octaves down Again, I was purposely going for a very repetitive melody. I was making it much simpler than I could have done, just because you specifically want to make something that, although it's quite different from, say, trance music, it puts you in a trance. It's that kind of, it puts you in this weird meditative kind of state because it's very repetitive. It gives your subconscious something to focus on, so you can try and meditate to it, that kind of thing. Not that I meditate, but you can use it for that kind of thing. Personally, I listen to ambient music while working on my day job programming, so I find it's very nice for that. And the thing that completed it was some birdsong. And there's really not much excuse you can have other than living in a city for trying to download or buy that kind of thing. I took a sound recorder. This is a sound recorder I bought a short while back. I'm amazed that technology is at this level these days. All the time I'm amazed by gadgets. Not that I'd want to buy gadgets really that much. It's not that I'm amazed that particular companies have come out with them. It's just that the level of technology in general is so amazing that, instead of having to get a bulky DAT recorder, you can now have something like this, which runs on 2 AA batteries. It's got stereo microphones, and you can just go out into the woods or a nature reserve, or a field, and or the beach, and you can just record whatever you like. I think that's amazing that we live in a world with this kind of technology now. Science be praised. So I didn't have to go far to record the bird song. It's actually a recording of Scruffy, as my girlfriend and I have nicknamed him, our local friendly blackbird, who's often just outside here where you can't see, but there's a window here leading into a car park and a garden. And even in this modest block of flats, it's really nice. You've got a few trees out there, and occasionally blackbirds come and visit. And if you get up at the crack of dawn at sunrise, then you can actually stick a microphone out the window or next to the window on a tripod and just record birdsong for half an hour. And that's what I ended up doing. And I think I got a few different recordings and kind of layered them together a bit. So towards the end, I think at any given time there's 2 different recordings playing at the same time. And then the virtual mixing desk, I had to EQ out any traffic that went by. But yeah, that's the gist. It's just local actual sounds. The only problem there is that, birdsong isn't really fitting with the whole general theme of music from Mars. But my line of thought here was that, people have not quite, say, terraformed it that much yet. By the time the cover's made, people have terraformed it because she's got a mask off, but, little space helmet. But by the time that music's set, I was thinking there's this person in this kind of geodesic dome, and there's this kind of biosphere in there, and they've got all this plant life and birds and things, and they're just remembering what it's like to be back home. Although it doesn't really fit in with the title of the track, so maybe not. I guess you can interpret it any way you want. It's just music. It's instrumental. Almost all of my music's instrumental. It doesn't really mean anything. I just think it sounds pretty the way it is. You can read into it anything you want or nothing at all. Personally, I'm not really that much into reading stuff into that kind of music. So yeah, it's just abstract stuff. It sounds good, so keep doing it. So that's how I've made some of the tracks on this album. And if any of you would like to share how you make your music, I bet you've got some tips that I could learn from as well, which would be great. So let's all learn from each other. Yay!